a huge topic that comes up basically anytime anyone's talking about entrepreneurship, or if you're considering entrepreneurship, is outsourcing, hiring employees to help you. And this kind of goes, I've seen it go two different directions, and I was guilty of this myself, is either A, not hiring employees to help you when you probably should, or B, hiring them way too soon. You can check out my video called Don't Start Your Business Before You Start Your Business, and that kind of hits on this topic. But for instance, in my first, I think, year or two as an entrepreneur, I had already hired a bookkeeper. Not because I necessarily needed a bookkeeper, but because my brain, being all excited about an entrepreneur, I was like, as an entrepreneur, I should obviously have a bookkeeper. Or like I had started working with my accountants on like tax strategy. The problem with both of those that early on, first of all, I didn't have any books to keep. So what was this guy going to help me with? Tax strategy, I didn't even know what I was going to accomplish that year or do, or what income I was going to have, or whatever. How can I come up with strategy for that? The changing the direction of that might be my business is going, I start getting my income, I start having whatever, and then we have a tax strategy on how to like optimize all of that. But if I'm trying to have tax strategy and bookkeeping before I have anything being taxed or any books to keep, it's the cart before the horse. Don't start your business before you start your business. So how do you outsource? What is the proper procedure of when to do it? Because you don't want to wait too long, because as the sole person in your company, you might get completely bombarded, but you also don't want to do it too soon, early. So when I say proper procedure, it's really just my opinion. I don't know what's proper or official. But here's what I found to work best for me in terms of how to properly outsource my business. Because one of my goals was to absolutely have my business outsourced, because I'm in it for the passive income. I don't want to be required to work. But what I found that helped me the best was start my business by doing everything myself, period. I designed my own website, which I would give anything to have screenshots of, because it was so terrible and I didn't save any of it. I did my own website. I was answering emails directly. I was designing everything myself. I was doing everything. And one important reason to do that is, number one, you need to know how these things are going to work. Not to the extent of knowing how to build a website, but for example, you might need to understand what functionality you need on a website. And I will say the website, of all the things, it's very different these days, because you can kind of do a drag and drop website. Um, the website was one of the first things I outsourced, just because there wasn't a lot of value in me learning those details. But I started doing my own. But then with everything else, you're learning how it needs to be done for your business. And that way, when you get ready to outsource it, you can relay that to the next person. There are going to be some scenarios as an entrepreneur where you need to hire someone for something, and you're never going to have a clue how that thing needs to be done. For example, I have a book out now, and I was talking to someone who is able to optimize Amazon product descriptions and do Amazon ads. I know nothing about that, and I'm not going to convince myself that I need to know all of that, because she knows all of that. So there's no point in me wasting my time to try and reinvent the wheel when she knows those things. But what can happen a lot of time as an entrepreneur is you don't know who actually knows what they're talking about. I can't tell you how many people I have hired over the years who swear they're geniuses at what they do, and then we get to working together and it's like, are you though? But again, so there are going to be some situations where you're not going to know what you're hiring the person for, and it's going to be a little bit hard to gauge whether they know what they're talking about. But for some of the most fundamental parts of your business, for me, all of my business is online, and 99.5% of my clients come in through email. Well, had I not spent all the time emailing with them directly, I wouldn't have known what they are typically asking. I don't know what kind of answers they need. I don't know, just generally the process that they need to go through. Because I spent so much time emailing everyone directly myself, I was able to gauge, what are these people looking for? What do they need help with? What can I offer? Can I even offer what they're asking? And it helped Then, when I was able to hire someone to take over the emails, I was able to relay to her, here's how this is going to go down. You're typically going to see this, probably they're asking about this, da da da. Here are the whole possibility of answers depending, but if you don't know, ask me. I was able to give instruction because I had personally done it myself. So now using the same example of my email person, let's talk about when I hired her. So in my first year of entrepreneurship, like I said, 99.5% of my clients come in through email. So here I am. And this was also when I was back in the day, assuming that every single person that ever reached out to me was going to buy something from me. So I had to engage with every one of them. It got to the point that I was waking up emailing, I was emailing all day, and I was going to bed emailing. 24 hours of my day were taken up emailing. I didn't have time to work on the website. I didn't have time to continue to find ways to grow the business. I didn't have time to increase the product line. I didn't have time for anything because I was emailing all day. So this was the first person I hired. I need help with the emails. And let's say that 60% of the emails I get are generally asking the same things. So in that case, can I come up with somewhat of a template for her to respond with? Obviously my person helping me email isn't me. She doesn't have all the answers in her head, but there are some pretty general things that people are asking, and she can very easily direct them in the direction they need to go. And if that happens to be to me directly, that's fine. But she's still taking care of the bulk. So, for instance, if you go to my company's website right now and you fill out the contact form, guess what? You're not going to hear back from me. You're going to hear back from my assistant. She is like the gatekeeper of the emails. And if anyone needs me specifically for something, if anyone asks her something she doesn't know the answer to, whatever, 100% you're going to end up talking to me. Or if you just reach out and say, I want to talk to Allie directly, totally fine. But for that 60% of emails that come in asking the same things all the time, and they need something very benign, they don't necessarily need to talk to me, she takes care of that for me. What did that allow me to do? It allows me to spend so much more of my time doing other things. I'm not in this business to be an emailer. It's just that email is required for my business. So I emailed everyone myself until I couldn't do it anymore. It's at the point that it's hindering you that you should think about hiring some help. So, what's the process? I vote, start doing everything yourself. Start getting your feet wet. Start figuring out how your own business is going to run. Then, as you start progressing, start keeping an eye out for the things that either you just flat out don't know how to do. For me, it was the website. Or for things that are taking so much of your time that it's holding you back from doing other things. In that case, it was my emailing. Those were literally the first two people I hired. And it was very intentional because I could sit here and strain over this website all day long, but it's taking me away from everything else. And I don't know how to do it, and it's hard. And emails, I certainly know how to do those, but I'm literally emailing from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to bed. I need that offloaded to some degree because I've got to open up my schedule. And then those were the first two core people that I hired. Over time, I would see a new need. It's like, oh, well, this thing I've been doing, I realize now that I'm not the best person to do it and I don't really know how to do it. Maybe I can ask for some help on it. Start outsourcing that. Or I need this other thing. It's like an organic progression. When you see the need, hire someone for it. Don't hire someone beforehand because you're starting your business before you start your business, and you're probably wasting money, and you don't even know necessarily that you need that thing taken care of. Do it as you see the need for it. Is that helpful? There was definitely something else I was going to say about it, and I know the minute I stop this video, it's going to hit me like a ton of bricks. I guess that's it. I guess you'll get a second video if I come up with that thing is. So again, strategically and intentionally outsource. You definitely want to outsource, and I'm going to have another video on that, of the benefits of that, because some of them are obvious, some of them are not. But don't put the cart before the horse and outsource everything before you actually know what those needs are, but be willing to outsource when those needs present themselves. It'll make all the difference in the world for your business.